Jordan's King Abdullah has said that the world cannot afford an Israeli attack on Rafah in southern Gaza. Following his first face-to-face meeting at the White House with US President Joe Biden since the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war, the King called for an immediate full ceasefire. It comes, however, in marked contrast to his host, who's advocating for a shorter 6-week pause in fighting. More than 1.3 million people are currently living in Rafah in southern Gaza, the vast majority of them forced from their homes over the last 4 months of war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says a successful mission to release 2 Israeli hostages from captivity in Rafah shows that a ground offensive is indeed necessary. But the United Nations has called the prospect terrifying. In the meantime, senior officials from the US, Egypt, Israel and Qatar are meeting in Cairo to work on a 3-phase framework that could possibly see the release of hostages and achieve an extended pause. Let's bring in now correspondent Jordana Miller from Jerusalem. Jordana, firstly, what is the latest regarding the fighting in Gaza?
Well, Annette, we're seeing a lot of fighting still, intense combat in southern Gaza around the city of Khan Yunis, and some airstrikes in the outer areas of Rafah. But Israel's prime minister has now made it very clear that a major military operation in Gaza will have to wait until Israel puts on the table and executes a plan to safely evacuate, up to 1 million Gazans from that area. There's just no way that Israel's going to be able to operate against Hamas in Rafah, where Hamas still has several battalions and those cross-border tunnels that reach from Gaza into Egypt. Israel will not be able to get control of that area without first moving out the civilians. And now Netanyahu has promised that he will provide safe passage for them. That comes not only after intense pressure from the international community, but first and foremost from President Biden, who has been very vocal, saying he opposes any operation there and the U.S. would not support it.
Now, with this meeting apparently happening in Cairo, what are we expecting to emerge?
That's a great question. I think everyone is hoping that there will be progress that comes from this meeting. The last round was pretty much a bust and really a setback for the United States, which has invested so much time in trying to bring the sides together. Hamas put on the table what even the United States called many non-starters, including very extreme demands like lifting the siege and changing certain regulations here with a shared holy site in Jerusalem, which are, not really related to the Gaza war, at least the logistics of ending the fighting there and bringing the hostages out. And Israel, of course, we heard Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dismiss that. This is a new round. From what we hear, Hamas has changed some of their demands, and the sides are hoping Israel may show more flexibility as well. Remember, Israel's being asked to release some of the most wanted, high-value Palestinian prisoners that are serving time for blood on their hands for deadly attacks against Israelis. Maybe Israel will release more of them. And we're hoping that at least the United States will get both Israel and Hamas to agree to phase 1 of this, a 6-week pause that would see at least the civilian women, more of the elderly and the injured come out, and of course, a lot more aid get into the Gaza Strip, especially the north. And in that period of time, the sides would continue talking about extending the pause. And remember, Ramadan is coming up on March 10th. It is in no one's interest, not Israel or the Arab world, for the fighting to continue in Gaza. And shortly after Ramadan ends in mid-April, starts the Jewish holiday of Passover. So possibly, in the best case scenario, we could see the fighting pause through both of those big holidays and continue afterwards.